What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Stop your grinning and drop your linen.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Diablo 3 Season 31 build-up video. This is going to be the fastest start, the best class, what to play in Season 31. I will timestamp everything in the description for you. We're going to go through each class in alphabetical order, so if you just want to jump around, by all means please do so. I will link this document in the description if you want to have a look at it. Maybe some of the choices that I'm suggesting you should make you might not agree with. There are video links in the description to the DH starter guide, and as always guys, a like brightens my day. But let's just jump straight in. What is new for Season 31? Well, from this point on in Diablo 3 there is not going to be anything new, there's not going to be anything we haven't seen before, there are no more balance changes, we're going to simply get recycled season themes. But if you've been away from the game for the last couple of patches, we do now have the Alter of Rites returning permanently, nerfed a lot since its inception, but it still adds 1 to 2 tiers of power and adds an awful lot of quality of life, and particularly very important for leveling. Those visions of Enmity have also been added permanently, so later on in the season getting bounty mats is no problemo. And the theme this time around for Season 31 is going to be the Forbidden Archives, which is the open Kanai's cube. We can't stack items on top of each other, so we can't put Ingeum on top of Ingeum on top of Ingeum, but we could put 3 different weapons in the cube, we could put 3 different armor pieces, 3 different jewelry pieces, or any combination that we want. Some builds, some classes benefit from this tremendously, some almost not at all. Now in terms of leveling a character, there are basically kind of 3 main points to this, so various strategies that we've got. Number 1 is you make a Necromancer, you go to 70 completely on the Necro, you complete your season journey on the Necro, and then you collect the bags and open them on the class that you wish to play. Because items have got no level requirement with the Alter of Rites, you then power level yourself on Torment 16, which will be very, very fast. So you basically do a Necro, season journey, and switch. I did that last season. It took me about 2.5 hours to get a Necro completely leveled, complete the season journey, and I jumped on the monk and got the inner set and got myself up to 70 using that pretty quickly. That's method number 1. Method number 2 is you make a Necro and you basically play it until you unlock Alter Node 2, which is the node that allows for no level requirement, and then you switch on to the class that you want, because you'll be able to then craft maybe level 50 items, level 60 items, level 70. It will depend on how far you can train Hadrig, because you're going to be very short of gold, very short of materials and all those types of things. And then the third decision really is whether you should use or save your Challenge Rift bag, because obviously you can beat the Challenge Rift after the season starts. You might want to use it for the altar, you might want to use it for leveling. So Alter Node 1, which is the main thing to get us going, is 10 reusable parts. You just simply take a follower weapon and maybe the shield off the Templar, salvage them, and you can unlock this. This gives double kill streak duration, double XP from those kill streaks. Just don't do the Enchantress weapon, because at level 11 that will turn into a pretty decent item for you. Not every class can use two-handed staff though, so just be a bit wary of that. Alter Node 2 is where the really big thing happens though, because once you get 2 diamonds, you'll be able to make it so that items have no level requirement whatsoever. Every item in the game is at level 1. Now to get the diamonds, you kind of have to be level 18. So boss bounties, you can get 2 diamonds, combine them at the jeweler for a flawless. You can go goblin farming. I have heard people say that they can get diamonds at like level 10, 11 and 12 by looking for goblin farming routes. I've never done this. I think that's probably a little bit of a waste of time. But another area you can get diamonds is of course cursed chest or bounties, or cursed chest bounties. So level 18, that's when you start looking out for diamonds. Once you get 2 of them, combine them and then unlock node 2. The next thing you have to do is to train Hadrig to the max level that you can. You will need a Death's Breath and you will need a lot of gold to get this done. So the opportunities to get a Death's Breath are either you do a Torment 1 set of bounties, that's one of the Necromancer strategies, you do a T1 set of bounties as soon as you make your Necromancer. That would give you the Death's Breath. It doesn't give you all the gold to train Hadrig from my experience, it gets you nearly there, but not quite all the way. Another option is you can not bother doing that, but you can go into a Vision of Enmity at some point when you're strong enough, kill some elites and hope that one of them drops you a Death's Breath. Or of course you could use the DBs that you get in your challenge rift bag, one of the advantages of using it whilst leveling. Again, we also need gold, so that is either doing bounties. As I say, that full Tournament 1 bounty run didn't quite get there for me, but if you do a few more bounties, then of course you will get it. Or in your challenge rift bag, you of course have got millions of gold, so that then wouldn't be a problem. So the question for number 1 is, should you save or use your challenge rift bag? If you do use it, 1 to 70 is super fast. You can obviously immediately craft a load of level 70 items. You can upgrade them, one of them into a legendary. You can craft a sage's set and put them on. You'll have blood shards to spend potentially on modifiers for your class. Ultimately, if you pop the challenge rift bag, I think any class in the game you should be at level 70 in like 1.5 hours. I'd still probably make a necro, go get the cube, get to level 18, unlock the altar that way, and then probably swap on to the other class that I was going to play with my challenge rift bag, make a load of 70 stuff, do my upgrade and so on. But any class, 1 to 1.5 hours getting there. Of course, if you do use it for leveling, you're going to get stuck on your Alter of Rites. You can get just over halfway down with the unlocks. Now, you don't have to take this path, but it kind of depends on whether you think you're going to play probably about 20 hours or so in the opening weekend. That's roughly how long it takes me to unlock the altar, but I don't kind of put all my progress into it. I play the game a bit, pick up some of the things naturally, but of course some of the things you do have to go out of your way to farm. But as an example, if you were to use the challenge rift for leveling, be very fast, have a very fun leveling experience, you would then be locked out at node 15 on the altar. But you could get the kill streaks, no item, some move speed, the shielding from the health globes, some elite damage, double bounties, which is nice CC immunity, nice quality of life, pass ability, nice quality of life, double legendaries at Kadala to make setting up those builds so much easier. Auto pickup and salvage is very handy for some quality of life, some damage, and then the extra progress orb makes all your rifts faster. But you could of course pick auto DBs. I also like automatic orbs. This is just basically huge pickup radius. That's very, very nice, and some elite damage here. You could of course go for double death breath if you like that. If you are really short on resource and crit can be a good one. Perma XP pool of course would increase your paragon points, and a bit of damage here, you know, is not too bad. But ultimately, if I had to use my challenge rift bag and I wasn't going to save it, that's probably what I'd do. But I could be kind of talked into changing a few of those things. But the idea is you get kind of half of it, and then you mop up the rest of it on the Tuesday. You could pre-prep some of this stuff here. So the Whisper of Atonement, the Staff of Owning, you get it all ready, challenge rift resets, and then you plug it in and do the rest of your altar. Personally, I'm going to save my challenge rift bag. I always save it just because I do like getting those double primals. That's kind of one of the things I really live for in this game. So leveling, I mentioned Necromancer doing a T1 bounty run. Make the game on Torment 1 with your fresh Necromancer. You're looking to do Zoltan Cool, not Magda. Magda, in my opinion, is too hard on Torment 1. I die quite a lot of the time trying to beat her. Just one of the thralls will just come across the screen and completely wipe me out and kill me. So I would only make it with Zoltan Cool. You then want to do Zoltan Cool first and then go off and do the other bounties. Now you can snapshot things whereby you go to each of the bounties, walk around a little bit so the monster's level 1. I think that's a little bit of a waste of time. Ultimately, these bounty runs are complete lucky dip and there's a lot of RNG involved. What do I mean by this? Well, depending on how many elites spawn in certain locations, depending on what affixes and modifiers they've got. If you're leveling up a Necro at level 5 and the game just drops you a weapon, that's going to be really helpful for you. If you get similarly, if you're level 7, level 8, you get a weapon, it's going to be really nice. If you don't get any weapons to drop at all, it's going to be very hard to do. I found that it took me 30 minutes to do a Torment 1 bounty run. I also got into a few difficulties on a few of them. I got a bugged bounty on one run, so I couldn't complete it. That obviously would then mean that I just completely wasted 15-20 minutes on that character. And basically the key to it is, can you generate corpses? Because the Necro's got Corpse Explosion, which is the most powerful leveling skill in the game. So you get mages with Gift of Death Rune, meaning they drop a corpse when they disappear at level 11. And you get the Golem and on-demand pile of corpses at 13. So another strategy you could do is to basically make a Necro, go get the cube. You will probably be level 15 to 18 at this point. You would have access to these two things. And at that point do your Torment 1 bounty run, because it would probably be easier. Again, that's something to consider. Just other general leveling tips. you want to get the cube, as we say. Massacre bonus there. Necro on master difficulty, you should be about level 18 by then. Jump into visions when you're strong enough, once you've got your upgraded weapons from training Hadrig, so whether that's a level 50 weapon at level 20, whether it's a level 60 weapon at level 18, 19, whatever. Jump into the visions, you can get some bounty mats, they will come in handy. Cursed chests or temple runs for massacre bonusing obviously makes the XP go up really fast, as does a red gem in the helm. I think the simplest thing is to just do the Necro, complete the season journey, and then make the other character. It basically takes a lot of the RNG out of this because you're just going to play the Necro the whole way, and that's probably what I would do. Turning us to the individual classes, so starting us off with the Barbarian. If you're going to spend the Challenger of Bag shards, you want to roll braces, you can get the Hammer of the Ancients or the Seismic Slam ones. Modifier, of course, will be very handy. You can also then go for a Lyoric's Crown for some XP. This is applicable on all the other classes, but I didn't write it in because it's boring. Upgrade, you can upgrade a two-handed mighty weapon. You've got a decent chance of hitting a modifier, but even just a legendary weapon that you can use from level 18, you don't need to extract anything in the cube anymore. You can simply rock with your two-handed level 70 and some braces, and you would absolutely smash your way to 70. The starting set for the Barbarian is the Wrath of the Waste, so we get on the two-piece, increase the damage per second of rend by 500%, which is nice to pick damage up on a two-piece. Duration increased by 15 seconds, again more damage, which is really nice. The four-piece during Whirlwind and 3 seconds after, we get the 50% damage reduction, and rend deals triple damage. Barbarian's got absolutely no problem completing its journey to get the 6-piece set. And then Whirlwind gains Dust Devils, and Rend deals 10,000% increased damage, as does Whirlwind. Of course, it all revolves around Rend once you get the supporting items. The main two things you're looking for are an Ambo's Pride, which is a one-hand legendary mighty weapon. This will basically apply Rend when you hit with Whirlwind, and Rend gets its damage condensed down into a second, so it's a massive modifier. Lamentation Rare Mighty Belt, Legendary Mighty Belt rather. Rend can now stack twice on an enemy. Damage is increased by up to 150%. They're the two main Whirlwind modifiers, so it's quite cheap. There's not many things to look for. You generally also want to get a Band of Might. Great news is this is in the level 1 loot pool for the Barb. You can extract it into the cube and get a delicious 80% damage reduction. For this reason alone, Barb always gets a very strong start because you can always have 80% damage reduction after you've cast Furious Charge, Ground Stomp or Leap, which is pretty nice. I like to play it early on with the Bulkathos Blades because they just make resource generation so brainless, and we get some move speed, which is nice, but you don't have to, and there's lots of other combinations. And because of the combinations, the Barbarian gets a decent amount out of the season theme on Whirlwind. So for example, you can take Focus and Restraint, Zodiac and Convention of Elements. You might want to still take Rogue because obviously we've got sets like Guardians, Crimsons and whatnot. There's lots of weapon options. Ambos of course is mandatory, but you can then put in Echoing Fury for attack speed and also for move speed, and take the Bulkathos Blades or some combination. You've also got the Istavon set as well. Furnace, there's loads of different weapon options. Mantle of Channeling, Hexing Pants, Mortix Braces, lots of things potentially in the armor slots. And then as I say, you've got Guardian set and Crimson, so there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with the Barb. It's a very flexible build in terms of what goes in and what doesn't. As a suggested T16 starter build, so if I was going to make a Barbarian, this is kind of what I would be aiming for on Torment 16. It would be the full 6 pieces of the Wrath of the Waste set. We go for the Ambo's Pride. We would take the Lamentation Belt. We've probably got enough toughness to do Torment 16 just simply with the Band of Might ring, but you could replace this with a Gold Wrap and do the whole Boon of the Hoarder combo. I've put Injure in to help with cooldown. I've got the Furnace in to put the elites down faster. I've got a Larceny ring to proc with Fear on hit on the Echoing Fury to get super cool move speed. Zodiac to help with cooldown. Again, Band of Might could go on the character. You could maybe put a Messerschmitt's Reaver here for like a cooldown reduction on kill. Ignore Pain with some move speed. The Charge with the resetting rune on that, so when you hit enemies it resets. The Bloodshed with the move speed. Wrath of the Berserk with Insanity for more move speed. Then we've obviously got the Generation for Fury with the Veteran's Warning, and Whirlwinds to apply our rends. Boon of Bulkathos, Rampage. We've got Unforgiving to generate resource. Again, you could maybe take the Bulkathos Blades, shove the Ambos in the cube, maybe instead of the Furnace. We've got Pound of Flesh for move speed when we collect up health clips. I think probably quite an easy way into T16. Again, I've put Mortix Brace on here just to help out with the toughness, but you could easily put the Wurzishan Arm Guards on for a bit of move speed as well. So very quick into Torment 16, I think, the Barbarian. So overall, I'd say its starting rating out of 10 would be 8, and its overall kind of class rating for the season would be 7. So Whirlwind's solid for speeds, pretty cheap to set up as we've just been through. It's decent push build Whirlwind, and all of the Barb options I think are actually quite equal. Got some good push options on there. It's a balanced build. You can make yourself a Z-Barb, grind some XP if there are many 4-player groups going around. But overall, I'd say the theme probably doesn't do too much for the Barb. Maybe some utility and speed, so it's not like it's getting a massive amount out of the season theme. Moving us along to the Crusader, if you spend your Challenge Rift bag shields, you will want to roll a shield. Going for that Denial shield, which buffs up Sweep, which is going to be pair well with the starting set, or the Guard of Johanna, which buffs up your Spinning Hammers, which is obviously really good for leveling. Again, you can then, if you get the Guard of Johanna, move on to Braces, because there is a Gabriel's Van Braces which pair with them, which is nice for doing an upgrade. Two-handed Flail, and just hope you get something good. But again, level 70 Legendary Flail will be pretty usable with leveling. So we're going to get the Roland set with the Crusader. 2-piece, every use of Shield Bash and Sweep Attack reduces the laws and defensive skills by 1 second. That's decent. There's no other toughness in the set, but it doesn't really help us out terribly much with damage overly. But the 4-piece does. We get this massive increase in damage of Shield Bash and Sweep Attack by 40,000%. So again, Crusader's got absolutely no bother getting to kind of Torment 4, GR20 and getting the 6-piece. Which incidentally is every use of Shield Bash or Sweep Attack that hits an enemy grants 75% attack speed and 15% damage reduction for 8 seconds. So sorry, we do get the damage reduction there. So it is a pretty tanky build once you stack that up with the defensive bits and bobs as well. This can stack up to 5 times. Sweep is solid for a start. It's not where you want to be with the Crusader, but it is fairly decent. The 2 main modifiers are the Golden Flint, so Sweep Attack restores 6 Wrath for each enemy hit, so you can keep your Wrath up with this fairly easily. Damage increased by 300%. Denial Shield, which is in the loot pool level 1 as we say. Each enemy hit by your Sweep Attack increases the damage of the next one by 125%, stacking up to 5 times, so obviously big damage on those 2. Again, quite a cheap build, because they're the main 2 things that we want. In terms of using the theme, there is an idea that you can maybe take the Norvald set, which is when you use the horse and jump off, you get 200% increased damage for a period of time. That might be a little too clunky to work in, but it is certainly a possibility. Echoing Fury, Ingeome, Furnace, there's a few things that could maybe go with the Sweep Saders, as well as the Sweep modifiers. There is potentially something you can do. But ultimately you want to be in the Aegis of Valor, Automatic Fist of Heavens Crusader, because you want to be doing that because it's got huge screen clear. It was the best build last season for XP farming in my opinion. Echoing Fury could be added to it in the cube. I think that might help us out with some really big attack speed, and perhaps on the Aegis of Valor pushing we can take Heaven's Fury and the Norvald Slut. Again, I'm not entirely sure on a lot of these options because there's been no PTR to test, but I do think there is some season theme usage for the Crusader. As I suggested, Torment 16 starter build, I think this would probably get to Torment 16 pretty easily. Golden Flents and Denial, of course, are mandatory, and then I've basically put the Echoing Fury in for the move speed, pairing it again with the Larceny Ring to kind of get that move speed effect. We've got the Arm Guards in for move speed, Gold Wrap to handle the toughness with the Boon of the Hoarder. Messerschmitts and Ingeome are pushing cooldown a lot, which would allow us theoretically to reset our Steed Charge, which is how we'd get about. We'd have the Lord Commander for the Steed Charge reduction there. It might be that this doesn't have quite enough punch and damage. Well, we could simply take out Zodiac, which again is helping with cooldown, and replace it with Stone of Jordan. You could replace the Larceny Ring with conventional elements. There's a lot of things you could do to bump some damage in. You could take a swift mount, which would double the duration again, I think, of the steed charge for getting about. But ultimately, you're doing sweep with the pull rune. You're doing the hammer of justice with the move speed rune. We've got the Akan's, armor, increased damage, cheat death, all that sort of stuff. Laws of Valor for the wrath reduction, and then we've got Iron Skin for the 50% move speed. May as well pick up Fervor for the attack speed. Again, I don't know if this would hit quite hard enough. You might have to move the Golden Flents onto the character, in which case you'd have to take the two-handed passive. The Holy Damage one, just for 10% increased weapon damage, and then I think 70, I don't know why I didn't fill this in, but it's supposed to be finery, because obviously you would socket stuff in your gear, and I'm pretty sure Roland out the box T16 won't be a problem, because there's a lot of damage that you can pop onto it, and with having the cube open we can have a lot more uptime on abilities. For a start, I've put 6 out of 10. I think it's decent to level. Sweep is very good early, but it's not really a speed set at all, so you're going to have to swap over to the Aegis of Valor. So for the start, I've kind of marked it down because you're going to end up wanting to swap to a different set. But that is one of the best speed builds. It might still be the best speed build next season. We'll have to sort of see. So 9 out of 10 overall rating, just because I think the solo speed farm on it is really good. But swapping is always a bit of a pain. Moving us on to the Demon Hunter. If you spend the Challenge Rift bag shard, you're probably best off just going for the Braces, Wraps of Clarity. 50% damage reduction is going to be handy as you progress through the game. If you're going to upgrade Daggers, Impale or Fan of Knives, you're going to get a guaranteed multiplier. So again, fairly good time for leveling. But that's only if you use the Challenge Rift bag. If you don't use the Challenge Rift bag, leveling on the Demon Hunter is pretty sucky. We're going to get the Unhallowed Essence set once we complete the season journey. 2 pieces crap. Generators give us 2 additional hatred and 1 discipline. That's of no use to us. On the 4 piece, 60% damage reduction, 60% increased damage for 8 seconds if no enemy is within 10 yards. Again, that is crap. It's just too low damage. The damage reduction's okay, but really you need some damage. So trying to get your 6 piece UE with the 2 and 4 piece is not the easiest thing in the world. I think in the starter guide I recommended actually running the Lod's gem just to make sure you get your GR20 done. But once you do get the 6 piece, Generators, Multi-Shot and Vengeance deal 1700% increased damage for every point of discipline you have. Discipline you have, not max discipline. How much discipline is in your orb is the crucial thing. Very cheap to set up a multi-shot Demon Hunter, thankfully. We've only got a Yang's Recurve, which is a legendary bow. So multi-shot attacks 50% faster and its damage is increased by 200%. And the other thing is Deadman's Legacy Legendary Quiver. Multi-shot hits enemies below 60% health twice and its damage is increased by 200%. So just the 2 items to get, so that does make it quite cheap. Obviously you do upgrades for your bows in the cube and you roll your shards to get the Deadman's Legacy Quiver. In terms of using the theme, I think actually multi-shot, I was probably a little down on this in the starter video. Odyssey's End we can of course work in because we just simply put Entangling Shot in the generator slot for us. So I think we can get like 150% additive damage out of that. You can maybe work in Convention of Elements as well as Focus and Restraint if you weren't going for the Odyssey's End. That might be better because the COE I think is multiplicative. You can do things like Echoing Fury and Dawn and resource cost reduction items for super speed build. So I do think there is something potentially we can do with multi-shot. Gears of Dreadlands is generally thought of as the Demon Hunter's best build. Can we work the Odyssey's End into that? Maybe. It would be a little clunky because we'd have to kind of swap between our generator skills from Hungering Arrow to the Entangling Shot, but it could be done theoretically. And again, similarly, you can maybe get in Conventional Elements and Focus and Restraint. A lot of the time you're generally picking between them. So again, there might be something you can do with the theme on the Demon Hunter's best build. As a Torment 16 starter, this again would be quite easy, I think, with the Demon Hunter. I'd go Gold Wrap Belt. You would need to work in the Boon of the Horde in one of your socket slots for the toughness. You're going to take the Yang's, the Deadman's, 6-piece UE. I've done all these starter builds with no bounties required. Arm Guards for the move speed, Stone of Jordan for the extra resource and also for the damage. Squirts with a Gizzard for a shield, so that would be like a double damage modifier. And then in the cube, Odyssey's End to try and see if we can use Entangling Shot to get more damage. Dawn for Vengeance cooldown. in-gym for cooldown reduction. Again, you could do Messerschmitts here. You could do conventional elements if you're struggling for damage. And then we're just basically trying to pick things for hatred. So the Blood Vengeance gives us hatred. We would take the Seethe rune on the Vengeance, again, hopefully helping out with hatred. We would take Bat Companion for the hatred, and then we'd take the Max Discipline on the Preparation to boost up our damage. Tumble to get about with the Resource Cost Reduction rune on it. Move speed for tumbling as well, and then we'd be looking to take Ambush to flatten stuff. Multi-shots, probably with the Fire rune for the Arsenal. You could do the rockets with it as well. If you're really struggling for resources because there's no crimsons here, because again this is theoretically without any bounties, you might have to swap onto the lightning rune, which again would take off some resource cost reduction. You could leave it on fire. If you found yourself a Syndicote, you could try that in the cube for the resource cost reduction. I think that's kind of how that cubes out, but again you can kind of have a little fiddle about. T16 I think will be a breeze as soon as you get your 6 pieces and your supporting items. Demon Hunter, I've put 7 out of 10 for the start. It is rubbish to level. The 2 and 4 pieces are poor, but if you do that strategy recommended at the start of the video, make an Necro, do your season journey, swap onto a DH after, you'll be much faster. But once you do get UE, it's cheap to build, it's top tier for speeds, and I do think it will have some interaction with the season theme. And overall, I've given Demon Hunter 8 out of 10 because Gears of Dreadlands, UE, Impale, these are all strong builds, they're good for farming, and there's some okay-ish push options I think for the Demon Hunter. For the Monk, spending the Challenge Rift bag, rolling shards, you're hoping to get the crudest boots. They make leveling very easy. Of course, leveling's gonna be easy anyway, but they just make it super easy, barely an inconvenience. Or you might get the Lashing Tail Kick boots. You can also do braces, they do have modifiers on, but generally boots is where you want to go. Upgraded two-handed Daybow, hopefully you get something good. Even if you get an Inner's Daybow, I'd call that a win, because at 70 we're gonna need it. Unfortunately, we get the Raiment of the Thousand Storms on the Monk. This is one of the weakest sets in the game. I think this is complete trash. I hate playing it. 2-piece Spirit Generators get 25% attack speed and 400% increased damage. Sounds great because it's a bit of damage. It's quite underwhelming though. 4-piece Dashing Strike now spends Spirit but refunds a charge when it does. Late game, once you're, this allows for probably the best bounty build in the game, the Infinite Teleport Monk, but early on you're really struggling for resource. It's really hard to teleport around infinitely because the spirit cost is just too high without a bunch of resource cost reduction. And neither of these things really help us get the 6-piece. So again, you're basically trying to do GR20 with a 400% damage increase on your generators. That's it, and a bit of attack speed, and it is kind of crap. Even when you do get the 6-piece up and running, you're rewarded with, as I say, one of the shittest sets in the game. Dashing Strike damage, it sounds amazing, 60,000 is just such a huge number, but on the basis that it does no damage anyway, and there's nothing else to run it through modifier wise, it is just kind of pants. We also get Spirit Generators increased by 14,000% for 6 seconds. Again, it's just the lack of hitting power in the skills, the lack of other modifiers to go through. Torment 16 with a 2,200 Paragon character. Admittedly I didn't spend hours trying to work out a build for it, but it just automatically out the box was not very good. Modifiers you're looking for Raiment are going to be the Shenlong's Relentless Assault. If you don't use these, it's really difficult because they do potentially offer you this 350% damage. So the idea is damage of your Spirit Generators increased by 2% for every point of Spirit you have. Similarly to the DH, this is Spirit you actually have, so no Spirit, no damage. High Spirit, high damage. As you get to max Spirit, all damage is increased by 350%, which is good, but then you don't passively generate Spirit, and 65 Spirit is drained every second until you run out of it. So it's like a big damage spike, then it drops off down to 0, it all resets and has to charge back up again. It's not very good, it's not much fun. Flying Dragon will give us a chance at double attack speed. Don't know what the proc coefficient for this is, but it's about the best you can put in your weapon slot. And then Depth Diggers, you get another 100% additional damage on primary skills. Just in case you couldn't tell, I don't like Raiment. T16 starter build, make an Inner Monk. Don't try and do Torment 16 with Raiment. With your low Paragon points, low gem levels, and what you can find, you won't be able to do it. You could theoretically do a Legacy of Dreams monk, but ultimately inner is very cheap to build because you only need 6 pieces of inner, and you can do the conversion to get the weapon, so you don't need to worry about finding a Dabo. Crudest boots are in the loot pool at level 1, so that basically means to get inner going, you only really need the Binding of the Lesser Gods and the inner set. So I'd be trying to probably play Legacy of Dreams and roll all my shards to put inner together. This will take some time though, because as I say, the raiment is not very helpful. Gold Wrap, Squirt, Spoon of the Hoarder, Focus Restraint, Enforcer. You don't need the Lefebvre's Soliloquy Shoulders. These add damage reduction, which for Torment 16 you'd be immortal. But ultimately, as you can see, the cube is pretty much how you would use it in a normal inner monk. Eventually you'd take Rogue here, you'd put the boots on the character and you work in like either Guardians or Guilds or something like that. You've got Move Speed with Fleet Footed, Beacon of Utah for cooldown, CC Initiative for attack speed. We've got the Mystic Ally adding damage here as well, can't remember what that passive's called. Ascension, Serenity to block damage, Mantra for the Annihilation. We've got the Mystic Ally generating Spirit, or you could do Desert Shroud for toughness. Water Ally on the Mystic Ally, so you do all your damage. Way of the 100 Fists, Assimilation for more damage. And then Cyclone Strike Implosion to proc your braces. Once you get inner going, it's brilliant, but Raiment is going to be bad time for you. In terms of using the season theme, Raiment, I couldn't really think of anything. Looking at the max roll guide, maybe you can work a furnace in. Maybe you could try and put some cooldown items in to make T16 bearable. Why you would bother, I don't really know. And then even looking at other monk builds, inner, I don't think you can put anything in. I think inner runs exactly how it will. The cube, I don't think is going to do anything for it being open, which is a shame. Legacy of Dreams Wave of Light is normally a popular build. You can't usually do speed farming with it very easily though, because you have to drop the Ingeome, but you'll be able to take it with the cube open, so that's something interesting to do. But Legacy of Dreams builds, of course, are not great out of the box. They take a lot of gearing and stuff like that. Patterns of Justice might find the best use of the season theme, taking those Shenlong fist weapons, because you build up to that 350% increased damage. If you can pop 100 channeling stacks on POJ with a 350% damage mod on your cold cycle, on your conventional elements, that's going to go boom. But getting the 100 streak up without the spirit going to the bottom and ruining your streak, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think there is potential. Somebody, I'm sure, will do 150 on POJ using that kind of setup. And that moves us to Necromancer. Did I give a rating for Monk? I didn't give a rating for Monk. Why have I not got a rating for Monk? Monk's start is going to be 3 out of 10. Raiment is just so bad. And then the overall, I think it probably goes up to 8, because I think Inner and Legacy of Dreams Wave of Light are going to be pretty good. I'll add that slide after, so if you do look at this document, it will be in there. And Necromancer, spending the Challenge of Bag is very rewarding on Necro. Shards, you can do gloves, which would be Corpse Explosion gloves. These will add a stacking modifier as you level. As I said in the video earlier, it is the best leveling skill in the game. You can also upgrade two-handed scythes and you're guaranteed to get a modifier. Some are better than others, but they will all give you damage, which is going to be T6 the whole way. The starting set for the Necro is the Bones of Rathma. 2-piece permanent minions reduce cooldown of Army of the Dead by half a second each time they deal damage. Skeletal warriors spawn faster, and revive minions no longer expire, so they become permanent. So you can't use skeletal mages because they do not last forever, but the revives, the skeletons, the golem, they all kind of count. 4-piece minions no longer take damage, gain 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds when they do damage, stacking 75%. 75 times 75% damage reduction. Big damage reduction takes a while to ramp up. As you can see, there's no real damage here. The only thing you've got is Army of the Dead cooldown is getting reduced. It's on a massive 120 seconds, I think, to start off with, so it's a pretty big cooldown. It might be 60 seconds rather than 120, but it's on a big cooldown either which way. 6-piece, each permanent active minion increases the damage of Army of the Dead by 1,750%, capping out at 31,500. Big damage increase, but because it's on this cooldown, it's really fiddly to do Rathma at the start of a season. Very powerful build in general, maybe not getting much use out the cube, but it's all about resetting this Army of the Dead called. And visually, one of the best builds in the game, but utility-wise, pretty poor. The main modifiers for your Rathma Necro are going to be the Bonds of Selena, so this will give us 100% increased damage, or double this bonus against the target of command skeletons. So you want to command your skeletons and get the 200%. You also generally want the Fate's Vow Legendary Helm, another 250% on Army of the Dead, and we gain the Unconventional Warfare Room. Often you'll take the Jessus Skull Scythe and Shield. This is because when you command your skeletons, you get a 400% increased damage modifier, which is obviously pretty big, and then you just basically get a little more damage. Fury Pick is also how you traditionally run a Rathma, so you will hold down the Siphon Blood, getting the increased damage from this, 300%. Power Shift also stacks 20%. With taking these, the Jessuth is a 2-piece set, so it locks out both of your weapon slots for your shield and for your scythe. Then if you've got Fury Pick, as you can probably start to tell, it's quite hard to squeeze anything else on top. Use of the theme, Rathma, probably nothing. Again, maybe somebody will come up with some big brain way of working in one of the many other modifiers the Necro has, and that might well be where we go. We might have to drop one of the minion skills for maybe a scythe, Tragul's Corroded Fang, and put a curse in, something like that. But off the top of my head, I can't really get there. But you could take a load of cooldown items and make a T16 build for Rathma. Why you would bother? Well, the only reason to be is because it's the starting set. But again, ultimately, I think it would probably be quite shit to play compared to almost any other Torment 16 build. So I'm thinking Rathma is not great for the season theme. But the Necromancer in general, use of the season theme, S tier, definitely the class that benefits the most. So couple of builds here, and it's like this for any Necro build, but a couple of builds here. Nova, it's going to be huge. You can now take the Scythe of the Cycle, you can take the Tragul's Corroded Fang, Shadow Hook, Bloodtide Blade, Fury Pick, Nares. You can shove like 5 modifiers, well 4 because you've got the offhand locked out for the Iron Rose generally, but any 4 of these modifiers you want, Bloodtide Blade obviously is like 4000% if you've got 10 enemies around you, Scythe of the Cycle 400%, Fury Pick 300%, Nares for poison skills, Trags for cursed enemies, Shadow Hook is just more essences, more damage, and the same for Bone Spear, but obviously you've got the Maltorius where you would have the Bloodtide Blade. Fury Pick, you generally don't work that in. Again, with the Jessuth, there might well be some kind of command skeleton shenanigans with some builds, because you can maybe squeeze that in, and some modifiers. So there's lots open to Necro, and I think it is going to be quite an exciting class to play. 150 will be done pretty easily. We'll have to sort of see how the season goes with some testing as to how far we can push things. T16 starter, you probably want to avoid Rathma and just do a Nova build. Now you can do Legacy of Dreams, because you get the Legacy of Dreams gem on your second rift. You could just stuff it full of modifiers, so Bloodtide, Scythe of the Cycle, Shadow Hook, Nares, Iron Rose. I haven't put the Siphon Blood Fury Pick in, but again, it could go in instead of the Shadow Hook as an example. I personally like to manually activate my Death Nova rather than do it with the Siphon Blood, because I just think it's a little bit clunky. But of course, there is a modifier on the Iron Rose, and it is free of essence cost. Again, you'd have to play around with this. Another idea is potentially, I used to make a lot of Legacy Dreams Nova builds back in the day. You'd take the Corpse Whispers Pauldrons, you could take Corpse Explosion Gloves. You might try and work those skills in somehow. Crispins is more damage. Haunted Visions gives Perma Simulacrum, which will also duplicate the Novas, so they can be really nice. Again, you can take Reservoir to double your Essence, which goes with the Shadow Hook. You take Devour for the Essence regeneration as you spam out your Novas. If you don't want to do the manual Nova, you can get rid of the Devour, you don't need that. Fueled by Death, Consuming Corpses is more speed. Dark Reaping is more kills and essence per kill, provided you've got a Scythe. Overwhelming Essence for the increased essence. Again, you only bother with that if you're doing the Shadow Hook. And then the cooldown reduction, just to reset your simulacrums if you need it. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with the Necro. It's very, very flexible. And I think with all these modifiers, you won't need the world's highest level legendary gem, the Lord gem. You won't need everything ancient probably to do Torment 16. You will simply probably be able to do it pretty quickly. Whilst Crispins is difficult, whilst Haunted Visions is difficult, the rest of these modifiers are super easy to get. There's only 4 scythes in the pool. You can use Trags as you go, just put a curse on. You can use the Funerary Pick as you go, just obviously make sure you've got Siphon Blood on the bar. It should be fine. That's probably what I would consider doing. Now, of course, as soon as you get 6 pieces of Inarius or you get 6 pieces of Draguls, either of those 2 builds work with Nova. You want to obviously completely get rid of your Lod stuff, because chances are you don't have a level 99 Lod gem. Chances are you don't have 13 ancient items, and thus swapping onto one of those sets would be better. But that's kind of what I'd consider doing rather than messing about with Rathma. Other T16 options are you could go and collect the Rathma set and just try and stuff it with cooldown so you can reset the Army of the Dead. So that would be roll cooldown on every single piece that you have. Take an Ingeum Sword if you can find one for 10-second cooldown reduction when you kill an elite. Messerschmitt's Reaver for the 2-handed axe. You could even try and squeeze in a Zodiac with some form of Spender, albeit that's a little bit clunky. But you're really looking for Trags or Inarius, and as I say, Nova is going to be your option. For a start, for the Necromancer, I've gone 8 out of 10 because 1 to 70 is very fast. You can skip the season journey and just do a Lod Nova Necro, I think. Nova will get to 150 easy, giving it the overall 10 out of 10 rating. I think it's the class that gets the most out of the season theme, and probably when we look back, it might well be the best class in season 31. Might have the fastest GR 150. It might be the XP group meta is double Necro, whether that's the Nova and a Rathma, whether it's 2 Novas. Again, we'll have to see kind of how hard this hits and where we can go with the speeds. Other classes might challenge for it, but overall I think it's going to be a pretty solid bet for season 31. Moving along to the Witch Doctor, if you do spend your challenge rift bag, shards can go on a Mojo, trying for the Gazing Demise, which buffs up Spirit Barrage, very powerful for 11, which is good. And then upgrades. Ceremonial Knife has got some interesting options, but I probably would go Spear because we're going to get the Helltooth set to start off with. That buffs up the zombie charges, 50-50 chance of getting it, and it really helps out with the resource cost reduction for the zombies, but it is still expensive on the resource. The Helltooth, once you complete your season journey, pretty wordy. 2-piece enemies hit by primary skills, Acid Cloud, Firebat, the Zombie Charger is the big one here. Zombie Dogs, Gargantuan, Grasp of the Dead, Piranhas, or Wall of Death. So a lot of skills are affected by Necrosis, becoming slowed and taking 3000% weapon damage every second for 10 seconds. Really nice 2-piece, that'll help you a bunch. 4-piece, after applying Necrosis, you get 60% damage reduction for 10 seconds. So again, you're not going to have any problem doing your 6-piece journey on the Witch Doctor. And then 6-piece after casting Wall of Death, so you need that on the bar. Gain 37,500 increased damage for 15 seconds. To again, a whole bunch of stuff. Primary skills, Acid Cloud, Firebats, Zombie Charger being the big one, Zombie Dogs, Gargs, Grasp of the Dead, Piranhas, and Wall of Death. Scrimshaw is the main weapon for the zombie charges. It reduces the mana cost by 75%, pretty big, and gives it a kind of 7 times multiplier. It does also have zombie charge damage rolling on it natively. You also want your Ursua's Trodden Effigy. Zombie charges deal up to 150% increased damage. Zombie Bear rune now also summons 8 bears that travel further, which is nice. They're the 2 main mods, but you can also get some other bits and bobs in there. I think there's Shurkaranis for the damage after Spirit Walking is another good one. Use of the season theme, I think Helltooth, maybe we're working in Sacred Harvester for speeds, for increased move speed, a bit more damage with the intelligence. Maybe we're working in Wormwood for the speeds, just for the automatic Pestilence and Ring of Emptiness damage combo. Not entirely sure on this one. I don't play much Witch Doctor, so again we'll have to sort of see on the season. But as a Torment 16 starter build, I think this one should be absolutely fine. So again, 6 pieces of the Helltooth, which we get for free. Gold Wrap Belts, Squirts with Boon of the Hoarder combo, Gizzard Gem for the shield. Lakumba's Ornament would give us more move speed under the Harvest, Soul Harvest, and we of course pick the move speed room. We've got the supporting items that we just showed you for the zombie charges. We've got the Ring of Emptiness for 300% damage for Pestilence, which should be here. That should not be the Piranha Nado, it should be the Pestilence. Again, I'll change that in the slides later. Wormwood to automatically apply it to make it very easy and lazy. Sacred Harvester for the 10 stacks of Soul Harvest for move speed, for extra damage. And then the Shukrani's for when we do Spirit Walk, when we pop out of it, we get extra damage and we can kind of mosey around as much as we want. We've got the Zombie Dogs with their move speed passive, Zombie Charge obviously to do the damage. Mana spent with life, I think we can probably cover that with the Gizzard Gem. Again, maybe not sure on that one, so maybe we swap to the cooldown reduction one. You can do Confidence Ritual for the damage up close, and then some extra mana in the passives. Stone of Jordan for damage, could be conventional elements pretty easily, and that's kind of what I'd be trying for a Tournament 16. I say make sure you do put the Pestilence on, because otherwise you're not going to activate your Ring of Emptiness for the 300% damage, so a bit of a whoopsie there. Witch Doctor, I've said 8 out of 10 starts because it's a very fast class to level, regardless of Challenge with Bag and shenanigans and all that sort of stuff. Helltooth is its best set, and I also think you could maybe do something with Chicken Speeds where you're taking the Wormwood, make them even lazier and faster. Again, I haven't tested any of this, I didn't play much Witch Doctor last season. Overall 7 out of 10, maybe that's a little generous, but I do know Helltooth is fairly strong, so we'll kind of have to see. And this brings us lastly to the Wizard. If you're going to spend your Challenge with Bag, roll your shards on offhands. Winter Flurry is in the loot pool at level 1. This buffs up the Hydras. You have to hit with Blizzard first, which is a bit of a pain, but it is still in there. Etch Sigil at 33. Again, this buffs up the Twister, but only when you're channeling certain skills, so not great options, but you can consider them. Upgrade, you probably may as well go for a wand, just to see again if you can get something lucky. Wizard gets Tal Rasha, which is a great set. It used to be best in the game, but it did get nerfed in the last patch. Again, unfortunately, another wordy one here. Damaging enemies with Arcane, Cold, Fire or Lightning will grant immunity to that element and cause a meteor of the same damage type to fall from the sky. So we basically get, for damage wise, a free meteor. This only occurs if the wizard has had a meteor on the bar, okay? And the same meteor cannot happen twice in a row. So obviously you need to be damaging with different elements to get the meteors to activate. 4-piece Arcane, Cold, Fire and Lightning attacks all increase your resistances by 100% for 8 seconds. Attacking with Meteor reduces the cooldown of Teleport by 1 second. Kind of nice, a little bit of utility here of far more teleports. A little bit of a struggle to get the 6-piece because the free Meteor is not the biggest damage in the world. And basically we're a little bit challenged to get the GR20 done, but you probably can get it done without resorting to the Lord Gem, but as always with any class, that is always a backup option. 6-piece attacks increase your damage by 1000% for 8 seconds. Arcane, Cold, Fire and Lightning add a stack, but 4 stacks. Each different elemental attack extends the duration by 2 seconds up to max of 8 seconds. So we basically attack with different elements. Once we get the 4 stacks up, we just have to use different stacks. We can hold down one stack and it'll just keep refreshing and refreshing for 4000% increased damage. The Wizard has got 2 main modifiers for the Meteor, which is the Grand Vizier Legendary Staff. It reduces the arcane power of Meteor by 50%, which is huge, and gives it up to 400% damage increase, which is also pretty big. Smouldering Core Legendary Staff. Lesser enemies now lured to your Meteor impacts. Meteors deal 50% increased damage on consecutive hits to the same target, stacking 3 times to 150%. These, as I say, both nerfed last time out. 2 more modifiers are needed though, which is the Mempo of Twilight. Meteor Shower Rune is now applied to all meteors and 400% increased damage. And Nilf's Boast Boots increase the damage of Meteor by up to 600%. And if you hit 3 or fewer enemies, it is increased by up to 900%. So a little bit of shopping to do for the Wizard. In terms of the use of the theme, the Tal Rasha's version can now take the Smouldering Core, which will allow you to punch a little bit higher in speeds, because normally you take the Aether Walker so you can zip about the map. That means you've got to drop one of the weapons. The Smouldering Core is the weaker one, but it's adding 150% damage, so not the biggest thing in the world, but still a modifier we can have. On any of the Twister builds, there are 4 separate modifiers for Twister. We can now shove all of them in. So Twister Wizard, I think, potentially can be quite exciting, whether that's on the DMO set or Legacy of Dreams. Then others, Death Wish, whilst you're channeling, you can get 325% increased damage. So which builds we can work this in, I'm not sure, but there will be some. Orb of Infinite Depth, again, adds like 80% damage reduction and 40% damage. In some builds, it might be able to replace a Halo of Carini, allowing you maybe a separate ring to go in. So Wizard, I think, gets quite a lot out of the season theme. There's lots of builds I would like to test when we get to the season, but overall, I think going to be quite fun and quite strong. For a Torment 16 starter build, again, I expect Wizard to do this no problems. We would take 6 pieces of Tal Rashes. Because it's a 7-piece set, we can ditch the amulet and do the squirts. So again, we would take Boon of the Hoarder and also the gold wrap for the armor, and then you just need a shield. Ashnagars would give you double shields. You can take Galvanizing Ward. You might be able to drop this passive and just rely on the magic weapon deflection. You probably should do, because your shield would be infinite. So again, we can maybe swap that passive out for something else, a bit more damage. Maybe Audacity for the close range. Stone of Jordan for damage and resource. The Zodiac for cooldown and for resource. Aether Walker to teleport infinitely, just costs arcane power now. So you're going to pump a lot of arcane power. So Astral Presence. Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. You do need one of each element, so this would be the lightning version with the automatic lightning meteors. You would have fire on your Spark Flint, you would have arcane on your Teleport Calamity, and you'd have Black Hole Absolute Zero for your cold spell. And that's kind of how I would do it. You could take Halo of Carini instead of the gold wrap. I don't really know what that does for you, but it's something you could do. Damage further away with the Power Hungry. As I say, you could do the Audacity, and then Evocation for the 20% cooldown reduction just helps us with that teleport, just be a little bit faster, but again, by all means, probably something that could be swapped off. Maybe Dominance for a bit more of a shield as well. Long term, you're going to want like Orgilds or Crimsons, maybe Guardians. Again, a whole bunch of stuff you can do, but out the box, T16 for Tal Rasha will be no problemo. So Wizard, I think I've given it 7 out of 10 for the start, just because Tal Rasha is quite a powerful set once you do get it. Overall, 8 out of 10. I do expect there to be a high use out of the season theme. This might well be actually 9 out of 10. I'm not sure as to how strong the Wizard is going to be, but overall, I think a pretty good time. What would I pick? Well, number 1, is of course going to be Necro.
Well, duh.
Legacy of Dreams, Nova, whether it's on Tragouls or an Aris, is going to be very, very strong. Demon Hunter is a really good start because UE is just very nice, and then probably move into the Gears of Dreadlands. How those two things compete with each other for speeds, we'll have to see. And then I think my third pick will probably be Wizard. Go play some Tal Rasha Meteor because it is pretty cool. Make use of the season theme with Twisters. Make a Legacy of Dreams Wizard that will, hopefully speaking, be pretty powerful with this open cube. And that is probably what I would do. I'm going to try and make as many build guides as I possibly can next season. We'll have to sort of see how many I can get through as fast as possible, but no PTR means it's all going to have to be done live on the season. So thank you for sticking with this video. Obviously it's been a pretty long one. Hopefully you found it useful. I will get those slides that I boo-booed on amended. Let me know what you want to see in the future. Like, subscribe. Super thanks are of course appreciated. Obviously it takes a lot of time to make these videos. But other than that, guys, I've been the Filthy Casual. I'll see you in season 31. Take it easy. Peace.